Guys, so the actual pages of the upcoming manga were spoiled, so here's what your tribal chief saw regarding the spoilers. This time, I actually managed to see some of the manga panels as well, instead of just the translated text. So, as usual, I'll be going by with what I saw and I'll give my own interpretation on what I think could happen in this chapter. There was a panel where the narrator was explaining that what was visible to the eyes of Kashimo, who started the analysis of Ryomen Sukuna using X-ray, and as Kashimo himself said, Sukuna's power was perfection. Kashimo is literally calling Sukuna perfect here, and remember, he was also observing the Gojo vs Sukuna fight, and he never complimented either characters as perfect when they both fought. So Sukuna right now in his current state, which is the original Heian era Sukuna, must be at the power level that probably was never seen before in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. Kashimo is a legend in his own right, but he's calling Sukuna perfect, so this must be the strongest sorcerer that Kashimo himself has ever seen. However, now we know why Sukuna has such a superiority of the other sorcerers, with another panel describing that even though Sukuna has hand signs, the other two arms are free. Without putting stress on his heart and lungs, he can perform a chant without having any breaks. With also having twice the amount of arms and mouth, this just gives him a massive advantage, as he also doesn't lose any bodily functions. What's that famous saying, 2 heads are better than 1? Well, that quote personifies Sukuna right now. Which gets me thinking, Sukuna saw Megumi using the 10 shadow techniques, which piqued his interest. And it's because of his interest in that technique he took over Megumi's body. In the back of his head, he was probably thinking of using the 10 shadows against Gojo as well, and to be fair, that's all he was doing in that fight. But the main point is, Sukuna saw Megumi using the 10 shadows. He liked that technique, so he hatched a plan to protect Megumi so that one day he can take over his body and battle Gojo and use that technique. What if Sukuna used this plan that he did with Megumi before, with his Heian era body? The body with the 4 arms and multiple mouths. What if Sukuna saw another human being who was already in this 4-armed demonic state, or even potentially being a transfigured human, like how Mahito transforms all the known sorcerers into these weird-looking monsters? What if Sukuna saw the potential of a 4-armed transfigured human, or a demonic human, whatever you want to call it, but he went after that being because he knew how much of an advantage this will give him? With Megumi, he saw the potential and went after him for a majority of the story. He could have easily done the same before because Sukuna was originally a human. So it's either his body being deformed in this way after he became the fallen Dishonored one, or he took over another beastly body and tapping into its full potential as a cursed spirit. Another panel shows a brief history of Sukuna dominating clans by himself, where he was making full use of his body by using both his cursed tools, Amotuke and Hiten. He destroys the squads under direct command of the Fujiwara clan and driven the Deshi Chimbu squad that was made up of the best of the Able clan, including Angel and remnants of the Sugiwara clan. This just shows how much of a badass Sukuna was back in the day. This guy was soloing all the clans by himself in an era which was deemed as the golden age of Jujutsu sorcery. Remember back in chapter 116, Sukuna says to Jogo that compared to the humans, Jujutsu sorcerers and cursed spirits, he is not that bad. This has to be Sukuna comparing Jogo's strength to the guys he was fighting 1,000 years ago. Sukuna more or less complimented him with that, and Sukuna was dominating Jogo like how Gojo was dominating him back in episode 7 of the first season. So does that mean that the way Sukuna was dominating Jogo back in Shibuya, he was also dominating all those clans the same way back then? Like guys, this chapter, from the way the leaks have described it, it seems as though Sukuna's powers will be getting a lot of shine. We'll be seeing Sukuna in a new light in terms of power, and I think Akutami wants to emphasize how much stronger Sukuna is even compared to Gojo. I think Akutami might have heard the feedback from fans when we say that it was hard to believe that Sukuna wasn't going all out against Gojo. So he's bringing out Sukuna's trump card when he brought back Sukuna's Heian era form. And the chapter mentioning that Sukuna was a dominant force just by himself, destroying powerful clans easily. Even when the clans teamed up, he still dominated them. Akutami giving us this backstory of Sukuna is justifying Gojo's words when he mentioned Sukuna wasn't using his full power. You can look at it like it was damage controlled by Akutami, but in defense of him, during the Gojo vs Sukuna fight, it was always mentioned by the characters that Sukuna always had an ace up his sleeve, so that little bit of foreshadowing was always there. Another panel was showing Sukuna attacking Kashimo, and Kashimo says it's beautiful. Kashimo is probably at that point where he is in awe of Sukuna's power. He probably didn't even realize that Sukuna's final form has all this power, and he underestimated him, thinking Gojo probably did a massive damage on Sukuna, and now he's there for the taking. When in reality, this is not the case, and now not only is he losing the fight, but it's like he's amazed in his abilities and couldn't believe what Sukuna is truly capable of. Sukuna launches an attack, but also tells Kashimo to dodge it. It looks like Sukuna is saying a chant with one of his mouths saying Dragon Scale, Repulsion, and he himself from his own mouth saying Pair of Meteors. Is he about to do a Fujitora from One Piece and unleash meteors from the sky to attack Kashimo? With the way Sukuna is now, you wouldn't bet against him. Sukuna also sends nets of dismantle, dominating Kashimo, and by the end of this chapter, Kashimo is dead. I don't know what exactly kills Kashimo, but it was probably the attack that Sukuna tells Kashimo to dodge, to which Kashimo also says that attack was the one that sliced Gojo in half. So it could have been that attack, or it could have been the nets of dismantle, or it could have been just pure brute strength. Because remember, Sukuna has extra arms now, which means physically he can dominate an opponent thanks to the extra arms. I believe the chapter ends with Yuji and Higuruma joining the battle. Yuji doing a classic Yuji move, getting another sorcerer to gang up against the cursed spirit. But now, I don't blame him from doing it. Sukuna is the king of curses. If there's anyone who needs to be ganged up on, it's him, no one else. Yuji was also holding his arm, very similar to how Luffy goes Gear 4 when he's holding his arm. And even his hands in that panel doesn't look human. What if the rumored body swapping technique that Yuji has works in a way where he can also swap the body parts of the people he has swapped bodies with, if you know what I mean? So if he has gone inside someone else's body, does that mean he can also swap the arms or legs or whatever of that person who he has already been inside of? Either that or Akutami just draw his arms, hands and fingers more pointy than usual. But I think that secret technique that Yuji has been saving will be used in the next chapter. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. Subscribe for more Jujutsu Kaisen content, and as I always say, don't forget to subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.